Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful to be back on your screens again. My name is Biarhanga Shama Prince, aka the BESP. And of course, as usual, we are on Youth Space, and we are going to be today discussing something that is very intrinsic to the life of teenagers in line with Miss Teen Uganda. We are going to be discussing a problem that comes within and how it affects our teenagers and how, as the community, we can help to solve it out. And this is none other than the mental health, in line with the mental health awareness that we are having in Miss Teen Uganda. We'll be back with someone who's going to help me discuss this, and we are going to have a fruitful discussion. We hope you can move together with us. Someone here to discuss and help us understand and give us an insight on what exactly are these teenagers going through. You know, of course, when we say mental health, it is something that is broad to me, but he'll be giving us his own view on what he thinks mental health is. Let us begin with the introduction. Please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. My name is Wakainje Edrin. I'm a student at Makerere pursuing a bachelor's in computer science. So, what is mental health? My understanding of mental health is that it's basically the emotional, the physical, and the social well-being of a person. How you feel, how you think, and how you cope with situations. Talk about stress, whatever is happening in your life. Coming back from the family to what is happening in your current life. Let's say at school, at your workplace, and whatever you're doing, basically.
Okay. Beautiful. So we are going to be looking at the psychological well-being generally of these teenagers. How are they coping with different situations? How they react to them? Their emotional well-being, yeah? And I think we are going to do a really good job in sharing with us. Looking forward to a very fruitful conversation with you. The first segment is going to all be about what generally is your take? What are these different situations that teenagers go through? You know, what are the different aspects of their life, and how do these actually mental health issues come in?
You know, recently there was releasing of the USCE results, and then
results.
all of us saw a girl who committed suicide because of the results. Probably she never got the worst results. She got some results, but then the pressure that was on her from probably the parents or the colleagues pushed her to that extent. Now, that impact in society is what we are considering poor mental health. So what causes this? There are very many causes, ranging from the academic pressure. You can talk about social media alone. People are putting pressure on their fellows. They want to live lives like those of celebrities, not considering their family backgrounds, not considering how their financial state. So someone wants to live like Shiba, but then the person basically is not even earning any money.
They are not financially capable.
Exactly.
So
These are teenagers who are depending on their parents. But because they're at school, they're having friends who are coming from rich families. They want to live up to those standards. Then,
but on that particular thing about, you know, social media and, you know, idolizing someone, let's say I want to be like this celebrity, I thought it was like something that is inspirational, like maybe it helps them work more. Does that, how do you analyze on how it brings the problem of those mental health issues? I was viewing it only in the positive light.
Social media has the positive side, but in the case of mental health, I believe social media has done a very big role in impacting on poor mental health in teenagers. Social media can inspire you. You will look at a celebrity, you will be inspired. I want to be like this person. But then teenagers, because most of teenagers are adolescents, as a matter of fact. So when you look at them, you're looking at a person who, yes, I want to be like Shiba, maybe I want to be like Chris Brown, I want to be like Justin Bieber. But then these people are going to compare themselves with these celebrities, forgetting that they have to work to get there. They cannot achieve that in a very short period of time. So someone's going to go to school and then live up to standards that even his pocket can't sustain. So social media is going to play a very big role. Then look at the memes, look at X, do something small outside at school, and then your friends are going to make a TikTok video out of you. So you're going to become a laughing stock
Just
on
no,
school
I
throughout.
have those problems.
And then celebrities inspire, they do a lot.
Yeah.
But you've seen a rise in that celebrities are posting their relationships, their couples. And then in our current generation, you're going to see teenagers, girls, boys, those couples, those young couples
Trying to cope up.
trying to
with
cope
the
up with
pressure.
that, are having matching t-shirts. Then
Now
maybe-
for this broke boyfriend who does not have the money to do that,
live up to those standards.
that casts
So
stress.
they are posting a TikTok video, and people are going to comment. If you've been on the comment section of TikTok alone, it's enough to give someone a reason, suicidal thoughts.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
someone's going to come on how you've dressed, they'll comment about your shoe, comment about your looks, and the comment section of people basically drives a lot on how people understand themselves. So the different comments that come up from social media, from X, you've seen all those things come up. They are a big problem to society right now.
to
people-
teenagers,
to
in
teenagers.
particular.
You see, someone's going through a comment about you.
Yeah.
Look at your hunger. Comment about your forehead.
Aye. You're trying
your
to say
forehead.
I'm proud
Yes.
of my forehead.
About your forehead on X.
You cannot hurt my ego. You cannot.
I cannot.
Uh,
But then when one person does, you're going to see the whole world coming, backlashing at you. The whole, all people next are going to be coming and saying, oh, that forehead. And then just within a few hours, you're going to become a meme. Before you know it, your friend has posted that meme. So you're seeing yourself there.
Threads in the
But your forehead has no problem. It's just someone being raised in a poor society.
may I
with
call
no
them
moral-
haters.
Probably
May I call them
haters, yes.
yeah.
And their moral background is they just weren't raised well. So you find that they're going to come up and say a lot of things, forgetting the impact these things are going to have in society.
Now, for a teenager, okay, now maybe it has been about social media. I'm going through these different comments, blasts, and what. What do you think can be the impact? Like, how can it impact my life as a teenager? Because, of course, teenagers, we're looking at someone, some are at school, but even the person who's not at school, like, what are those some of those effects? What are some of those effects after going through these TikTok blasts and what? Apart from the suicide, I'm thinking about, may I just think about, forehead or maybe plastic surgery and I go.
Personally, I've had friends who have tried to eat a lot to gain weight. Why? Because people are being body shamed. Their friends are body shaming them. You post a pic, maybe you're at a party, you're posting a pic on your WhatsApp status, someone's going to come up openly and body shame you, say, oh, look at this, maybe you don't have nyash. There was that trending song of nyash.
Nya, nya, nya. That
So,
thing was
if you're not having that, the whole society around, people around you, maybe your boyfriend or your ex, is going to come and say that about you. But it's something that's not so big. It's something actually normal. And I think people should realize that the body should appreciate people's bodies and then stop body shaming. But the effect is that people have a lot of low self-esteem. Just someone body shaming you will not feel confident to stand up in a crowd and speak up again.
Yeah.
And look at schools. Someone who has been body shamed, or let's say not body shamed, let's say someone who has become a joke, those people, even their grades will decline because they won't feel comfortable in class. You're going to find a girl who has been checked by a boy, then the ex has spread a wrong story about her in school, and everyone at school is looking at her like an outcast, someone who does not fit to be in society. So where will that person fit in? These are the cases where we are seeing people committing suicide.
And that is a person looking for 20 points. That is a person looking for 8 A's now. We're talking in A's.
Yeah, someone looking for 8 A's. And in addition to that, someone's already having enough stress back home.
Yeah.
Having enough stress back home. Someone is finding it hard to have break, and they're having stress back home. They have enough academic pressure, and then in addition to that, now they're having pressure from their peers. So now look at such a person. That's where you find cases. You wake up early in the morning, you go for preps, and someone who remained behind the dormitory has hanged herself or has hanged himself.
I would not wish to see that. Personally, I would not wish to see that at all.
Exactly. And then this is where you find people are so much more. You find someone, they're at school, it's game time, and then there is a person who is seated aside in a corner on the pitch. Still just alone, lost there in
Thinking.
thoughts, thinking, being lonely. And just loneliness alone itself, it even triggers most suicidal thoughts, and then it's going to impact poorly on their mental health. So
Yeah.
how will they coordinate in groups?
On that particular thing, I keep telling people that the teenagers you hear about that maybe they committed suicide and they maybe harmed themselves in some way or the other, I do not think personally that thing just came in one day. Like maybe they got all those thoughts and they just decided to commit suicide that same day. I think it's a gradual process. Like the small comments people are making about them, slowly they start to be affected. Grades are dropping because they are affected, and that is also more stress, academic pressure from home. So I think by the time someone decides like I'm going to commit suicide, it has already been a lot. The problem is that most teenagers were failing to identify those problems. Like you have a friend, but you're not aware of what they're going through, and you're not able to help them in any way until even they reach to that point of killing themselves. Not even killing themselves, but even those bad effects like poor academic performance and what.
Yeah.
So how can we better, I feel like we need better identification to know.
Yes, we're doing the
How do
better
I know?
definition. In fact, there was a story in COVID about there was a neighbor of a friend of mine. It so happened that during COVID time, COVID time people were so lonely. So she had a boyfriend. Now, and she was a stay-at-home kid, whereby the parents never allowed her to move, always at home. And she had a phone. So she used the phone to communicate and all that. So I think one morning or one day, the parents wake up and then they check their phone. So they see all those messages.
Aye.
After seeing all those messages,
Mm.
they removed the phone from her. It was for about a week. After removing the phone from her, it never took long. A week, 2 days passed. They came back and she had hanged herself. Now, how do you identify people before they get to that extent? Firstly, normally, there are these small things that we ignore.
Yeah.
For example, you view someone's status, but then on an abrupt day, those people go quiet. You take long to hear from them after a while. Then suddenly, you see a sad song on their status. Or you see someone commenting, maybe this is life, maybe such is life. You see something that is
Those quotes, they have
Yeah,
those,
those
quotes,
quotes,
they get from TikTok.
those negative quotes.
If someone does not want to be in your life, let them be,
them
let
go.
them go. Hey,
So-
hey.
Look out for these people. When someone has been quiet for a while on WhatsApp, or they haven't talked for a while, check out on them. Ask them, oh hey, you've been off. What's up? How is life? What's going on? And then you don't even make it like an interrogation. They'll feel like they're being interrogated, and then someone will stonewall. They will close up and they will not open up.
Yeah,
But-
like, you can't just come flying out of nowhere and you're like, hey, Shama, I see you're going through a lot. Tell me what is it? What is it? What? I mean, I'll not tell you.
I will not tell
I'll
you.
not tell you. You must have the communication skill. How do I get someone to share their problem with me without making them feel like I've, intruded on
Personal life.
their privacy, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you see, we stay in schools where we associate with very many different people. So at school, look at the people you're staying with. Actually, it may be very hard for fellow teenagers to recognize these cases.
Yeah.
But we have adults, we have teachers in schools.
Exactly. How do the rest of the people come in? I think with that, how does the government, how do teachers, how do the rest of us help people who are going through these mental health issues? Maybe let's now conclude with the solutions.
Yeah. We are having
Maybe just before you skip to that, we're going to have a short break and then we shall be back with the solutions. Yeah, how do the rest of us participate in helping and identifying these people who are going through these things? It can be you, it can be me. By the way, I have a lot of problems. Like I just don't look like them. Okay, welcome back from that short break. Now, in the first segment, we're looking at exactly what are the causes of these, mental health issues that teenagers are facing, and then how can we identify them? Already, we have shared a bit of information. You should look out for these abnormal behaviors. Someone going too quiet, someone overthinking, whether you are in school or someone at home, a sibling. We should know how to cater for such. But now, how do the rest of the people? How do they come in to help? We are going to look at now the solutions, yeah? I think you first give me your take and then I can give you, how do the rest of us come in? Is it the government which is most important? people, parents, you know?
You see, firstly, as teenagers, as youths, making up a big population, we need to understand there are things out of our control. And then there are things that we can control. So, firstly, we should understand that what is in our control, that's what we can change. And then things beyond our control, let's leave them to God. And out in society, teachers, fellow friends, let's be better friends to our friends. Let's be people who can understand that, yes, we are people, but in as much as we are well off, in as much as maybe I'm fine, my friend may be reacting like this because of something behind it. So let's seek out, let's open up, let's check on our friends more. And we have safe spaces. Don't be someone who openly shares secrets of someone after someone told you something. Be someone who listens. Listen, and we don't give advice, but the mere fact that you validate that someone's going through something, that's just enough to move someone, and they'll feel like, yeah, we are not having the burden alone. That burden is shared. They say a problem half shared is a problem half solved. So when we get someone share their problems, that problem is already halfway solved. Someone will feel a light burden on themselves, and they'll be able to push up with life. Let's give people hope. What do you
And
say about that?
on that particular that particular issue, just like he said, we need to care more. Yeah, sometimes we don't want to get into people's personal business. You think you're playing it safe, but at the end of the day, when something bad happens, they commit suicide, something goes terribly wrong, we are all going to be affected as a community. Yeah, so at least that simple hi, hello, how are you doing always matters, because it does not, as I say, it does not begin, it is not a sudden happening. It's not an accident. Mental health issues are real and they are gradual, and it's a thing of process. So we just need to understand more. When there's a change of behavior, you don't just drop a person. Yeah, people are like, hey, Shama suddenly became braggant. That guy these days he has bad manners. I don't know why. Why do you not know why? You should always find out what really happened, something like that. Better reconciliation. Or else you're like, okay, now that kid in class is a planned kid. He cannot have problems. And yet that person is the one they said, if you don't get 20 points, don't come home. That person is the one, who has other problems they're thinking about. People have girlfriends. Like what? People have problems.
Yeah.
Eh?
And you see,
How is your girlfriend?
no, I'm very single by the way. And at my stage, I think a girlfriend would be a liability, and I need to make more assets as a youth. So I don't need a girlfriend right now. First, need to make the money.
Set
chasing
your
the bag.
priorities right. Yeah, you should know. Set your priorities right. Like, the more you stress yourself with things that are out of your control, things that that are going to burden you. At the end of the day, you're creating an effect on yourself. Yeah. So just like the man said, for him right now, hey girlfriend, it doesn't matter. For Shama, we do not know. But still, something like that. So those are some of the solutions we present. We do not know what you think. We look forward to seeing more solutions in the comment section, and just keep on sharing with each other. So with that, we shall go for our last break, and then after that, we shall be back, to give a final take on now in relation to these teenagers that are taking part in Mistin and other teenagers all around the world. What is the collective effort, and what is the way forward? We'll be back to you in a while. Teenagers all around Uganda. So after we've known, about what are the causes of these mental health issues, how do they affect us, there are different effects, and also who is responsible to help out a person and how. Right now we are going to be, Edwin, you're simply going to tell us, like, what is the way forward? Like, from here, how do we proceed? How do I, as a teenager, prevent myself from getting those particular related issues concerning my mental health? How do I protect myself? And maybe generally just, the rest of the responsibilities.
You see, I spoke about something about understanding what is in your control and what is out of your control. If you understand that this is in my control, then you can deal with it. You will have a better mental health. And if you understand that this is out of my control, it's beyond what I can do, then let go of it and you will be free. But besides that, as fellow teenagers, let's stop being judgmental. You see this, you see that. Some things just look and move on with your life. Stop judging people for who they are, for what they are doing, for how life is going on their side. There are ups and downs in life. So, as a teenager, when you're at your lowest, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Open up to your family, to your friends, to your circle. And then we should stop relying so much on social media. You know, people fake lives so much on social media.
True.
The person you're seeing here may be so different from from the kind of person who is outside there. So you'll admire someone, but you don't know what they are going through. You don't know what they have done to get where they are. So we need to realize that there is effort behind people achieving what they achieve, and we can't just get there in one day. So as teenagers, we need to come up and yes, work for ourselves, learn that life throws very many things at us, but we have to stand strong and face them. So what if someone has abused your nose or your head? It's okay, life has to move on. You may not have the best head, you may not have the best looks, but you're better than very many, obviously. And there is someone in our state, but that may not be a consolation. Even someone being in our state is not just enough, but just focus on making yourself better. Avoid things that bring stress to you. Life has to move on. Shama.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, I think Edrin summarizes it as best as we both can, yeah? You should just know who you are, know your full potential, and with that you will not be in position, to compare yourself to people with whom you do not know, like, where they came from, you don't know their stories and what, trying to live fake lives. Teenagers will fall very vulnerable to such things, trying to cope up lives we cannot, trying, to get into things that burden us, things that we cannot. That's excess pressure. If you understand your potential, it is done away with, yeah? So we're not going to say any more further than that. It is all about self-esteem, love yourself, appreciate yourself, have a friend you care about, be a friend who cares about others. And, generally, let's pray, yeah? I think prayer does a lot. Like, prayer does a lot. If you can't speak to a person, speak to God. Like, it always works, yeah? So he always answers. Edrin must be a prayerful person, yeah?
My prayer warrior.
So maybe just your closing remarks and just say bye to our viewers.
My closing remarks. Do you have any closing remarks?
Just bye to the viewers. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. There is World Mental Health Day. Then there have been several campaigns on mental health awareness. So if you're out there, be an activist for mental health. Raise up the concerns. Then. Jesus Christ. Then pray. Open up. Be that person who can raise up when there is a mental health issue in society. Let's have people who listen more to people, and then you will understand what people are going through. Now, if you listen to me, I'll be able to understand that, yes, this person understands what I'm going through, and we'll be able to help someone. That way we can have a better mental health state in the whole country.
Yeah. And with that has been your dynamic duo for today. We remain BSP and Edrin. Today we've been discussing about mental health in line with Miss Teen Uganda. We hope all those people who are coming to participate, all, lovers, all supporters, Gax Media TV, everyone, we hope that you're able to pick something from this particular section and participate more. We look forward to your comments. See you next time. BSP.